Okay, Quick Tick McTick coming to you from Saskatchewan here, and we do all kinds of things here on the Quick Tick channel. And this week, I've decided that it is time for a seeding update here in Saskatchewan. Now, I've done a seeding video before when I was seeding oats, but we get a different drill, we get a different tractor. I'm seeding something a little bit different here. And for those of you that haven't seen a seeding video, well, it's time to talk seeding. And if we're going to talk seeding, there's one place to talk seeding, and that's grabbing the tractor and the drill and heading out to the field. Don't worry about that, little guy. We got him fixed up. Now, obviously, once we get to the field, we're gonna have to load the drill. Now, once we're all loaded up, we're gonna calibrate our cart because we wanna make sure we're putting the exact right amount of product down that we need. And to do that, is these things here, they're called transmissions. Now what the transmissions are, is there's a shaft coming into the other side of them from underneath. See these guys right here. So how this works is there's actually a sequence of sprockets and chains that runs off of the speed of our wheel drive.
See? Just like that.
And they in turn engage clutches along here to all of our different sprockets, and we run the shafts from underneath our 3 tanks. The product comes down into an auger and then down into our pipe. But that transmission tells this shaft how fast to spin according to how fast our wheel's moving. So we want to make sure that we calibrate that properly. So we're going to pull these hoses off, put them in these pipes. And obviously, whenever you're working on the farm, make sure you got a pair of gloves on to protect your hands. These handy dandy Quick Tick McTick gloves made in Canada that you can get at quicktickmctick.ca. All right, so we're going to put all of these into our little downspouts. Then we're gonna get our fan rotating like that, and we're gonna go ahead and flip on our cal button. So then we're gonna make sure we got enough seed coming out to do a proper calibration here. Now in the front, you can see phosphate is our fertilizer that we're using in the front. I got the middle one going right now. You can see this is gonna be our grass seed blend, but we wanna get that last little bit of oats out of there before we calibrate the weight. And then in the back, we've got straight oats coming out of the back. We're gonna want that at about 70 pounds an acre.
To all the farmers out there losing their mind about the little bit of seed that I put on the ground, I'm thinking of you during this difficult time you're experiencing.
Okay, so now we put 3 little catch tubs underneath our 3 tanks, and we're gonna go set our monitor in the cap. So what we're doing here is an application rate calibration, and what this is going to do is it's going to count the revolutions of all 3 of our shafts so that we can enter our weights later on here. So now we're going to go turn our shafts back on. So what we're doing right now is we're simulating that we're seeding, right? So this is all going into our little totes here, and this is simulating that we're going down the field to check what our weight is. Okay, so then we take our sample that we collected, and look at that nice little grass mix that we got there. Still got a couple of oats kicking around in there from what I was seeding last, but that's okay. This nurse crop is gonna be oats anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we're gonna take our weight, which over here you can see is about 26.5 pounds, and we're gonna minus the weight of the container, which is 5 pounds, so that takes us to 21.5 pounds. Oats we've got at 27 pounds, minus the container takes us to 22 pounds. So we take those weights and we come back up into the cab of the screen. Okay, so on shaft 4, we had oats and we had 22 pounds. Enter. So that means we're at 66.5 pounds an acre. We want to be right at around 70. So I'm gonna dial that up just a tiny little bit. Okay, in our grass mixture, we had 21.5 pounds. Gives us 16.1 pounds an acre, and we want to be at 15, so that's pretty darn close too. And then finally we had our phos on shaft 1, and that was 31 pounds. puts us at 61.7, and we want that right in the 70 mark. So I'm gonna dial that up just a tiny little bit too, and then we're gonna check our runs.
All right, I'm not gonna show you me going back and forth with the transmission and getting everything set just right, but eventually you get the transmissions and everything calibrated on the cart so that it's putting down exactly how many pounds an acre you want, and then we check our runs.
All right, so before we check runs, we come and we put our downspouts back onto our pipe, because how this works is there's a fan back here, and the fan blows air down through the bottom. All these meters that we just calibrated meter our product from the tank down into this pipe, and then the fan blows it out to the front of the cart. Then it comes out the front of the cart and it goes up to our manifold, and then it gets spread out all evenly across the length of the drill. Okay, so you can hear we got our fan going, and I just spun those to simulate we're moving again. So it goes to that manifold, down through these green hoses right here, and then it comes up to these manifolds and comes down to each individual shank through one of these hoses. So you can see down here, we've got product coming out of here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna check each shank on this drill and make sure that there's product coming out of every one of them. Nothing's plugged up. Okay, we're good. Got product coming through all of our hoses down to our shanks. Now you can see there's some weeds on the ground here. This was canola last year, so we did a pass on this with the sprayer 2 days ago. So that chemicals had 48 hours to knock these weeds back, because we don't want competition for this crop that we're growing here. It's an oat crop, which is gonna be a nurse crop for an alfalfa grass mix, because my plan is gonna be to introduce cattle back into this, and we're gonna hay and fall graze it for the next couple of years in our rotation. Okay, and the last thing I'm doing here is setting my depth control. Now, we barely wanna scratch the surface with this. I mean, we only want this about a ½ inch deep into the ground here. So this is an automatic setting that'll set the drill to a certain height so that it goes back down to the same height every time. But we're gonna check that right now. Okay, so you can see here, you guys, we're just barely going into the ground. About a ½ inch is as far in as we're going. We got some good moisture that it's going into. We don't want to put the stuff very deep at all. So we come back behind our drill in one of our rows here. Look at these weeds dying. Ha ha ha. Death to the weeds. We're just gonna dig in here a little bit. See, there we got our seed, and we got a little piece of phos there. So that's where our depth is at. See, look here, we got an oat right there. Okay, another one right there. And like we're barely at a ½ inch. And that's right where we want to be. Now there's only one thing left to do now, of course. We're gonna go seeding. Okay, so we're rolling here, you guys. So you can see shaft 3, that's where we got our hay and grass mix. We got it applying at 16 pounds an acre, which is pretty darn close to where we want it. Shaft 1, you can see there, is our phosphate fertilizer, wanted at 70 pounds an acre, so we got it pretty darn close. And shaft 4 is our oats. We want those at 70 pounds an acre. We're bang on the money there. So you can see they'll fluctuate up and down a little bit, but this is about as dialed in as we can get here. And we're just making our first rounds of the field here. Now the first rounds are called a headland. And we haven't had this tractor out on this field with this GPS system here yet, so I'm mapping this headland as we go here. And the headland is basically, we do 3 rounds around the outside of the field, and that's what we use to turn when we're going back and forth in a straight line on GPS. So yeah, here we go. Supposed to get some rain today. That would be fine. Of course, we got our Saskatchewan flag flying proudly back there, because how can you not love the green and yellow? And don't forget, we've got an obscene amount of pigeon crap on the window, because we are doing this right next to a body of water, and they love it when we turn up worms behind us and they get to eat. See, the plan will be eventually to fall graze this, so what I got putting down here, we'll do a crop of hay off it and then we'll fall graze it, but you can't do that on the first year because it's young and it needs to get established, right? So this is gonna need a break as soon as we take the oats off it and combine it. And the fence. See, this is the most stressful part. You gotta seed along the fence line, try not to take out a post. And we got a little ways to go here. You can see on the other side of the fence there, that's where the girls are gonna be grazing here this summer. They're gonna be in the bush for the first part of the year, and then when we get down closer into the fall, they're gonna go over across the road on the other side of the lake, and they're gonna stubble graze over there on some oat stubble that we'll have there.
Maybe it's time for a seeding montage.
And just like that, we're done seeding. The folder up, I head her back to the barn. Okay, but hold on, just because we're done seeding, it doesn't mean that it's over here now. So I'm just gonna leave this rig parked here. I'm gonna have to clean out the tank, do a bunch of stuff to this weapon, and then service it, wash it, change out a bunch of hoses, but we gotta finish what we started here. So we're gonna go fire up the harrows.
Okay, first of all, obviously that's old Harrow footage because I didn't have enough battery in the drone to grab the new stuff. So you get recycled Harrow footage. We weren't harrowing in the snow. And the second thing you're probably asking is,
Quick Dick, why are you harrowing this thing? Well, remember, I said we're gonna start haying this is what we're gonna do with this. So we wanna be able to move at 10 or 12 miles an hour in this field. So we're gonna want it smooth. So what we're doing is you can see right where the harrowing line is here, what we're doing. So I'm going across the way that I seeded it, and you can see we're knocking down a whole bunch of the straw and trash, and we're just taking this set of tracks and just making it nice and smooth, so it's gonna be a gentler experience to run equipment over this thing. And then of course, if you look over here, because I've had cows out here grazing in the fall, we're breaking up any little bit of this manure and stuff that's left out here to help try and incorporate it a little bit into the soil. And this is gonna be, watch, it'll just be a beautiful, beautiful stand of hay. Look how nice that is. All right, so we're done harrowing, and believe it or not, we got a little bit of rain, which kind of shut a guy down, which is good. I never scoff at rain when we get it. And now it's time to do one of the most underrated and most important jobs that exist in farming, and that is picking rocks. Picking rocks is one of the best jobs. You just kind of get a coffee and just go drive around and just pick everything that's going to destroy your combine this fall. You get to turn up GX94, listen to Saskag Today and Who's Lucky Enough to Win Supper in the Field, and you get to drive around and pick rocks. One of these days, Doug Faulkner is going to call me, and it'll be great. There's all kinds of rocks that you find out here, and the first one I'm going to show you is a camouflage bastard. You can't even see it hiding in there, can you? But if you get right down in here, look at this bastard right here. That will completely destroy the concaves on a combine, unless you got Wolfhound concaves, then it probably won't, but. And then there's rocks like this. Hey, you leave these bastards here because you could start digging around this thing and try and pull it out, but this rock could be the size of the rock picker. So we just call those ones bounce over rocks to keep you honest, keep you on your toes. But we'll get that one. Shit. And then you get rocks like this one that you farm around. Because old timers from the area here and the old timers that you buy the land from, they all tell you, do not try and dig that rock out because it's twice the size of your house. So we just farm around it. Okay, but every now and then, it's not a rock that you find. That's the fun thing about rock picking, is you get out here and you're like, hey, what the heck is that? It's like, oh, it's an opener and a tip. Look at that, this like winning the lottery.
and then of course, once we are done rock picking, because you never get all the rocks, it's time to get the land roller.
Okay, so some people are like, Quick Dick, what are you doing using this roller? Yes, it's a little sticky out here, but I'm gonna finish before it rains and then have to do a lot of cleaning here. But the reason we use this roller is because you're not gonna get everything with a rock picker. Like, look, when you come in here, it's hard to see, but like, there's a rock here, there's a rock here, there's a rock here. There's a rock over there. There's a rock here. There's a rock here. This is all stuff that's kind of inconsequential if you're just cutting canola up high. But like, look, there's this, there's that, there's that. This is all stuff that can completely destroy a hay bind. It can destroy the pickup on a baler. And if that gets into a combine when we're combining oats out here, it can take your concaves out, unless you're running Wilpog concaves, of course, and they're not gonna hurt at all. But I'll show you. So I just showed you those rocks. I'm gonna drive over them and then I'll come back and show you. Rolling, 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 Mandaco's got us rolling. See, like, now look, there's nothing here. They've all been pushed down. Look, you get right down in here, that's not sitting up top anymore. It's not gonna hurt anything. Look at another one right there, another one right there. Like, it takes everything that's above ground and it puts it back down. Look, another one right here, another one over here. Those things are in the ground. And when this alfalfa grows around this, it's gonna tighten up the ground. Those rocks aren't coming out. So we're saving ourselves time and money and making our field smoother by running these bad boys over it. It is obviously not a fashion show out here. When we farm, we get dirty. But here, look, I'll do this one for you. You can at least see whose unit it is here, right? The boys at Mandaco super happy right now. Not really much to it. That thing steers most of the time anyways.
So just like that, we fold her up because we are done seeding.
Pretty slick unit, eh? I'd say.
Now, it's crazy how time flies. I actually finished recording that seeding stuff on the 20th of May is when we finished, and you can see here we are now. So, I mean, we're almost 3 weeks past when this was seeded. So we got some really nice emergence here. We're going to have to get back out here and start on some weed control again right away. But we caught a little bit of rain here yesterday, and everything's looking really good. And as you can tell by my voice, I just finished a doubleheader over in Manitoba this weekend, so I'm back to a couple of shows. But yeah, just wanted to show you what it takes to plant a crop and kind of what we go through. And a lot of the people I've been running into on the road here lately have just been saying, you know, they watch all this stuff right to the end. They put me up on the big screen. And so hopefully you enjoyed this episode, just kind of showing what we do and some drone shots and all that good stuff and how we grow food for the world. This is Quick Tick McTick signing off, reminding you it's still kind of chilly out here and you might need a coat when you're out checking your alfalfa crop that you've nurse seeded with oats. Catch you next time.